Yeah! Get up!
What is up, everybody? It is that one guy here, and I'm very honored to say that I have been nominated to participate in the 3x3 challenge. Now, I'm honored because I was nominated by a friend of mine, Miss MotoKari. Gotta put it into gear here to get going. And she was so kind as to nominate me to participate, and I've kind of been like, you know, I wish someone would nominate me. Mostly because that means somebody's watching my channel. So, thank you for watching, MotoKari, and thank you for you, because if you're watching this video, thank you. But let's jump right into it. If you're not familiar with the 3x3 challenge is, what you got to do is you've got to share 3 things or 3 facts about yourself that people probably or may not know. This is a little difficult for me because I've had my channel up for over a year now, and I share a lot about myself. I'm not one of those guys who likes to talk about himself, but I mean, obviously on my channel here, if I didn't talk about myself or talk about what's going on with me, there'd be a lot of silence. And of course there's channels like that where guys just go on rides and share the fun rides that they go on, but that's not what I do, even though I have. You should check out my video that I did one time, and I'll do again. Don't make me. So let's hop right in to the 3x3 challenge. Oh, the other part of the 3x3 challenge is that you nominate 3 motovloggers to also participate, and as it goes, it's like a chain letter, right? It just goes round and round, and it gets everybody in the universe participating. I think that's the end goal, and the end game here is so that every living being in the universe participates in a 3x3 challenge. I should say every writer in the universe, right? And I guess you're not allowed if you're not a writer. So let's hop right in and let's talk about 3 things you may not know about that one guy. So, number 1, I am partially colorblind. Now, what does that mean, partially colorblind? I have a friend who is completely colorblind. You know, colors do not look to him like they do to the rest of us. Amazingly so, he is an amazing prop master and wig maker. I mean, he really nails it. He's the prop master at the Woodland Opera House, and he also does all the wigs. Just an amazing guy, but he's colorblind, so he gets help out from his wife, and he gets help out from our costumer there at the Opera House to make sure that colors are matching and everything like that. But enough about him. Let's talk about me. So, what does it mean to be partially colorblind? So for me, I'm partially colorblind in green and it's some blues. So what that means is I took this stupid test when I was in 6th grade. I call it stupid because it ruined my hopes and dreams. Because in 6th grade, you know, what are those things that you say when you want to be when you grow up in elementary school? You want to be a fireman, you want to be a cop, you want to be a, you know, you want to fly an airplane. Guess what happens when you take that test and you fail it? They tell you you can't be any of those things. So yeah, that happened in 6th grade. So what it means is that within green, I have trouble telling different colors within the green spectrum. So they'll show me this drawing with a bunch of green dots, and within those green dots, there's a number or a letter, and I couldn't see it. And not only was it humiliating as a kid to be like, I don't see anything, and they're like, really? I'm like, yes, really, I can't see anything. Thanks. No, but I did feel terrible, because after that, they take you aside and they say, well, because you're colorblind, these are some of the professions that you cannot be. And I don't know if that's still the case because of technology and whatnot, and maybe probably discrimination, right? Because can't be a fireman because I'm colorblind. So yeah, fireman, policeman, and pilot. Those were the 3 things they were told me I could not be when I was in 6th grade. So much for that. We'll get to it. We'll get back to this colorblindness in a minute. But on to number 2. So number 2. Now this is a fact about me, but it's also kind of like, what do they call that? I'm throwing out names. Yeah, I'm gonna throw out a name here. So my first team in Little League, I played with Dustin Pedroia, the second baseman for the Boston Red Sox. I was coached by his dad, He was one of our coaches, as well as I played on the team with his brother. And so, yeah, I don't know if you guys did this when you were kids, but after the game and you were there to watch your brother or one of your friends play after that, you'd play this game called cup ball. This is what we would do. We'd get paper cups, we'd mash them up, maybe put some tape around them, and we played baseball with the cup. And I remember Dustin being out there, and that kid was like ferocious at cup ball. He swung his hand at that ball like he does the baseball bat in Major Leagues. If you've ever seen Dustin Pedroia take a swing, I'm sure I'll throw up a video right here so you can see it if you're not familiar. But that guy swings with his whole body, and that's what he did when he played cup ball. But yeah, little name throwing. I'm throwing out some names there. I played Little League Baseball with Dustin Pedroia's brother, and was coached by his dad. And actually, I just saw his mom. She came to see our musical that was just finished up here in the last couple weeks. Shrek the musical. We just finished that up, and she was out there. Hadn't seen her in a while, so it's cool. Small town, so you kind of know everybody. So let's get to number 3 here in the 3x3 challenge. Facts that you might not know about that one guy. 2 times I attempted, or was at least very interested in joining the military. Now, if you know me or personally, or you've been watching my channel, I probably don't strike you as a guy who wanted to be in the military or wanted to be involved in that. But I was very interested. When I got out of high school, I met with the Marines. I went out, met the recruiter, went in there. I had set up the time to go take the tests, which were all the physical tests and the written tests. And so I signed up for it. And at the same time, I was actually investigating the Mormon church. And I got baptized into that church. And it turns out, right about the same time, I decided to go on a mission for the church. And I ended up, you know, I called up the guy, and he actually bothered me quite a bit after that. Like, you know, if you change your mind, let's come back and do the test. And of course, I mean, had all my papers in for going on the mission, so that idea went bye-bye. But the second time was definitely more serious. I got recruited by the Army at college. And this was probably, let's see, this was like 3 years later. And I didn't know what I wanted to do for a career. I just didn't know. So I thought, you know, might as well serve my country. My dad was in the military, and my grandpa was in the 442nd, go for broke, during World War II. So, and he had a Purple Heart and everything. It's pretty awesome. If I've got a picture of it, I'll pop it up here on the screen for you. Really honored to be a military grandson and a military son. So you know, this was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to serve my country. So I went in, took the test, scored really high. Oh, my recruiter was so happy. You know, he was along with me for the whole thing, and he was all excited. So, you know, we did all the testing, and then we went to do the physical stuff. So he comes out after I do my physical, and he looks all pissed at me, and he tells me, "Why didn't you tell me you were flat-footed, you were colorblind, you have allergies?" And I looked at him like what the hell? You didn't ask me about any of those things. I'm not gonna just volunteer this information. I mean, I knew that the flat feet thing might be an issue, and he said that the flat foot thing wasn't a huge issue, but when you combine it along with my allergies and my eczema and my color blindness, he told me that to just go home. So it was awkward because he was the one that took me, but he took me back home, and I did not hear from that man again. It was incredible. Now, I don't know if any of you have had experiences like this, but the recruiter, I did not hear from again. I would see him on campus at school, and he would pretend like he didn't know me. And I just thought that was a really stupid and unprofessional thing to do. I mean, again, it's not like he never asked me about these things going in. All he wanted, and it turns out all he wanted was a number. He wanted me to go in there and sign up, and he just didn't care. So I never heard from him again. I didn't hear from the Army again. It was kind of crazy. It didn't, you know, it doesn't really turn me off. I don't hold grudges. So it's not like I'm anti-army or something like that, or anti-military. It turns out, you know, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I did that, and a few months later 9/11 happened, and my cousin who served in the military, you know, a really good friend of mine who served in the Marines, you know, they were deployed overseas a bunch of times. Another good friend of mine was deployed, and you know, one of my friends lost a leg and had less function in his arm, and his life is definitely going to be shorter because of all the internal injuries that he suffered. So anyway, a lot of things happened, and I mean, it's not that I didn't want to, and it's not that I wasn't willing to sacrifice my country. It just wasn't in the cards for me. So, you know, it was a bummer at the time, and but really it turned out to be something like a blessing in disguise. So again, if you didn't know that about me, it's not it's kind of that one's kind of a downer to end on, but it's one of those things that again, I don't think a lot of people who are friends with me now, and probably not a lot of the friends that I've known back then, knew that about me, because you know, that was when I was in college, and it's not that I went to college far away. It's just that when I was in college, I didn't see a lot of my friends because they were at college in different states. So anyway, that is the end of my the beginning of the 3. Now, by 3, the second part of this is nominating 3 motovloggers to participate. So let's get those names out there. I've picked these names out of guys that I enjoy watching, and guys who aren't necessarily super established. They don't have a ton of content out there yet. And I do this because, one, the guys that I do watch that do post a lot, they've already participated in the 3x3 challenge. So I've got 3 names of people who I know have not participated yet in the 3x3 challenge. The first one is Max Moto. I found Max Moto because I was looking up how to do something on my Fat Bob, and he had a Fat Bob earlier. He now has a Road King Special. It's a friggin' awesome bike. Actually just had it rolled on because somebody backed into him, so that was a bummer. But I nominate you, Max Moto. My second one is JMac 707. JMac 707 is actually lives in Northern California as well. He's had his channel for about 8 months. He posts some really fun content. He actually was affected by the wildfires. I posted videos about how those wildfires were affecting the areas all around, but he was directly affected. He was evacuated, so things worked out okay for JMac. So I nominate JMac 707. He's my number 2, and number 3 will be the Asphalt Traveler with the Bearded Sailor. Right, that's a cool name. When I saw that this guy was starting up his channel, I was like, hey, that's a cool name, and he's got a cool graphic for his logo. So check him out, as well as check up on him and see if he's posted for his 3x3 challenge, because he's been nominated. He's only been up for a couple months, so he's got a couple videos out. He's pretty new, but keep an eye out for him, because he's an up-and-comer. So those are my 3 motovloggers that I nominate for the 3x3 challenge. This video ended up being a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but if you've watched my videos before, you know that I'm a little bit long-winded. So what are you gonna do? All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button down there, which is that thumbs up. And if you're so inclined, hit the subscribe button, which I'll pop up right over here. Also, throw up some links over here in this direction so you can go straight to one of my other videos. Guys, if you're out there riding, be safe. And if you're not riding, get riding. This is that one guy, and I am out.